Shisui saves people. That sounds like a good thing, sounds heroic. But in the Apothecary Diaries Season 2, saving others comes with a cost. And Shisui pays more than anyone else. She doesn't get praise, she doesn't get closure, she doesn't even get to stay. Today, I want to talk about Shisui. Not as a villain, not as a winner, but as the character who paid the highest price. At first, Shisui feels light. She smiles, she jokes, she blends in, but slowly, Season 2 shows us the truth. Shisui carries secrets. She makes choices quietly, and every choice costs her something. She doesn't act for glory, she acts to protect others, and the story never lets her forget that. That brings us to the first point. Shisui saves people, but every time she does, she loses something in return. She loses her family, she loses her identity, she loses her home. By the end, she's no longer Shisui. She becomes someone else, someone erased. And this is important. Shisui doesn't sacrifice one thing. She sacrifices everything at once. Her past is gone, her name is gone, her place in the world is gone. The story does not soften this. There is no reward scene, no moment where it feels worth it, only absent. And even survival does not bring peace. Shisui survives, she escapes execution, she escapes punishment. On paper, this looks like a victory, but it doesn't feel like one. She leaves without answers, without goodbyes, without closure. Her freedom is quiet, and it is heavy. She carries grief with her, not relief. The story makes this very clear. Survival is not the same as happiness. Freedom is not the same as healing. Shisui lives, but she leaves parts of herself behind. This kind of ending is deeply tied to history. In ancient imperial systems, especially in East Asia, survival often meant disappearance. People who knew too much were not celebrated. They were removed, sometimes quietly, sometimes politely, sometimes under the excuse of mercy. Exile was common, erasure was common. You lived, but you no longer existed. For women especially, identity was fragile. Your name, your rank, your family, all of it could vanish overnight. Shisui's ending reflects this reality. She isn't punished publicly, she isn't redeemed publicly, she is simply removed from the story. That is not a failure of writing, it is a reflection of how power protected itself. But the cost of her choices doesn't stop with her. Shisui disappears, and the people she leaves behind are left in the dark. Shaolan never gets answers, she doesn't know what happened, she doesn't know why, she doesn't even know if Shisui is alive. This matters because grief without answers never resolves. Shalan doesn't get closure, she doesn't get a goodbye. The story doesn't fix this, and that silence feels intentional. Not everyone gets to understand the truth. Most people simply live with the gap. This silence is also historical. In rigid hierarchies, lower ranking people were rarely told the truth. Information flowed upward, not downward. Servants were expected to accept outcomes, not explanation. Deaths were vague, disappearances were normalized. Asking questions was dangerous. Shalan's ignorance is not an oversight, it reflects how power worked. Those at the bottom lived with uncertainty as a permanent condition, and that makes Shisui's disappearance hurt even more. That silence is part of the price. Much like Jinchi, Shisui is not a villain, she's not a hero, she's someone who chose others over herself, and the world did not reward her for it. She loses her name, her place, her future as she knew it. She survives, but she pays the highest price. Not with death, but with disappearance. This video is part of a larger series about the Apothecary Diaries. Each video looks at one character, one idea, one choice, one consequence, anything I find interesting. You can watch them in any order. So thank you so much for watching. If you've watched the previous ones, we've already done 3, so I'm really enjoying this series about Apothecary Diaries. And in the next video, I want to talk about justice in this world. Why punishment feels unsatisfying, why fairness was never the goal, and why the system always protects itself first. So, thank you for watching, and take care.